Mhm.
So let's start with just giving folks a background on our relationship. How did we meet? How did we come to know each other?
So we met at kind of a personal, more of a personal reunion type thing for one of the Marines. Well, he was way before my time. Most of them were, but I met you there at his reunion thing. And what was crazy is through there's just certain people that are saying things that you click with right away. And I could tell right away you were one of the people that I could. And that was before I even knew you had anything to do with the medical field at all, which was kind of funny. But then I noticed that you understood. You've been, trying to understand the Marine psyche more and how you could connect more with us. And you connected with me instantly. So obviously you figured out how to connect with Marines. Like, and I could get behind anybody who takes the time to understand us.
Thank you.
And
Well,
and
this is
so I
mutual.
mean, so we met a long time before the Stella started.
We did.
And
And I
yeah,
instinctively liked you too, for what it's
I
worth. And
well, I
all of you
knew
guys, all of you
I
guys.
also knew I would support anything that you needed help with. So
Thank you.
that was yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was an easy choice. It
So we met out there at the private reunion of, it was about 24 Marines for that weekend out in the woods. It's a really powerful weekend that
was
I'll
great.
never forget, years ago. And we came into that relationship and have kind of since kept in touch. And then when I came on at Stella, and I kind of thought about who needs this treatment that really addresses trauma symptoms, the biological root of trauma symptoms. I thought about you and several others. And so
Mhm.
you went ahead and had the treatment.
Yep.
Now, today's webinar is really about how long do the positive effects of SGB last? And so I want to take you through a process of um, sharing with people how the treatment went for you, and
Yeah.
then we'll talk about kind of the longer lasting outcomes that you've had ever since. So
Okay.
tell us about how the treatment went for you the day you came to Chicago. I was there with you, and what that was like.
So I was nervous. I was nervous from before even leaving for Chicago. But I talked through it with you and Para actually. He helped a lot. But I was worried mainly that it was just gonna instantly change me. Like I didn't, I was like, man, this is kind of crazy. Other than it's kind of crazy thinking it's going into somewhere around your neck. But when I got there, it was I I don't know, getting to Chicago and getting ready for it. I felt better when I started seeing the other guys that were going to get it with us too, and we all started talking and realizing we had a lot in common. It made it a more enjoyable experience than a hey, I'm coming to get this weird thing done to my neck and I don't know how it's going to end. It was more of a oh, we're all in this together,
Yeah,
like we usually are. Let's go get this done. And I mean, we were waiting for each other to see, when it was done. It was great. Seeing how each other just changed from being there in the waiting room to coming back to the waiting room was amazing too. Like we could just see it in each other. It
amazing.
was different. Yeah, it
There,
was
there were
definitely cool.
10 of us, 10, well, 10 of you, and I was there with you all.
Yeah.
I 10 of the Marines I really have come to respect and care about. We
Yeah.
came in together as
Oh,
a,
definitely. Yeah.
and we went through that day together, and that was so fun.
I
You
also
guys,
enjoyed that Para was there waiting because it
yeah,
helped. It
yeah.
helped.
Your top, your master sergeant flew
Yeah.
in, and together, we saw you guys go in for the procedure, and then not long after you'd come back out in recovery. And what were some of the things that you observed in yourself and in your brothers that day?
Well, when I woke up, I caught a nurse. Well, it took 2 shots for me. So the first time I didn't feel too much different at all. And they're like, that's fine. We'll just, we'll take you back in. But then coming up from the second one, I was waking up again, and this nurse was just stopped and stared at me for a minute. I was like, what? I was like, what's going on? Like, is there something wrong? And she goes, no. Well, do you realize you're smiling right now? And I was like, nah, I don't smile. I really don't smile for no reason. Like there's no. And I caught myself like, man, I think I am smiling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'm not feeling. Wow, I didn't feel stressed anymore. Like that stress, like just constant. Like, oh man, you're awake. You stressed for nothing.
yeah,
Yeah. So it was different. And then getting out and seeing a lot of the other guys. And I mean, it was weird. Is those of us didn't know each other that well. We still didn't know each other that well going into it. but we knew each other well enough when we left to go get the shot to come back that we could see that there was a change. And it was like, I mean, there was a few that were just instant changes.
And then after we had the SGB procedure, about half of us went out to join another 5 Marines, right? So it was 10 of us again, a
Yep.
little bit different group, to go through a follow-up retreat. And
Oh,
I
that was
got to
great.
spend the week with you. That was the week that COVID hit landfall.
Oh, it
That
was,
was
yeah.
just a whole time that I'm sure neither of us will forget. But tell us about the after program, because it's so critical to pair the SGB with follow-up care.
Definitely.
Um, Tell us a little
So
bit about that week.
like we get there, and at first it started off a little rocky because here's this Jewish rabbi trying to talk, and we were like, oh no, what kind of retreat is this? But his heart was pure, and he didn't, he was like, I'm not here for that. I'm here to help you. And we all saw instantly. But the thing with the shot is, I was trying to figure out what it helped during the Sparta thing. Was it helped me be more open-minded to things. So I don't know, maybe it just kind of opened me up and got me ready to take on new ideas in a way. That I think that was like one of them. Is like, you gotta put in part of the work to get things to happen. Idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the message from my perspective is that growth is a lifelong process. There's
Oh,
no
it's
such
hard.
thing as getting, one magic bullet
Oh
and
yeah.
being good for the rest of your life.
But that would be amazing if
Yeah, yeah.
you
But
could.
Stella, the treatment, the SGB, gives you
Yes.
the opportunity to do the work in a calm state of mind. I remember that week, and one of the most interesting things to me to observe in you, Weber,
Hmm.
was how you really enjoyed coming back into kind of being a goofy, like class
Yeah.
clown kind of guy, like you were, maybe at times previous to deployments.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, can you speak to that? Because that was so much fun.
I still am that way a little. My wife catches, like, I'll do little jokes, and then she'll be like, "You're stupid." I'm getting goofy still, but yeah. No, it was so the Marines really kind of took that out of me a little bit, especially once you learn your place as a new guy in the Marine. It really tends to take some of your humor out of you, and then going through the injury and stuff, it didn't help any. But yeah, it was weird seeing that goofy side come back through Sparta. Actually, that's where it like really made a. It was good though. I was surprised. I had a good time, and I still am. Um, Sparta was definitely a key for me. I think it
Was
really helped. It really helped a lot. Yeah. So
it was the pairing to me of
yeah.
treating the biological injury
Yep.
and pairing that with a really intensive, thoughtful after program.
It reminded me of like primer before the paint when you're painting a wall. Like it
Yeah,
kind of goes hand in hand. Like
yeah.
yeah, it was perfect. It was
Yeah,
a
I like
perfect
that
combination.
analogy. I really do, because I think one of the biggest things, it's a misconception, because this is called stellate ganglion block, that
Yeah.
it's going to numb you out or block some emotion.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the opposite.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you said to me at one time was, when my wife met me, like, she saw underneath all of that, anxiety and
Oh,
those
definitely.
trauma symptoms, that I was
And I
this
still don't
fun
know how
loving,
that. I don't
goofy
know
guy.
how she saw that. But yeah.
She did, right? She saw that in your heart, and then we got to see it kind of really fully come out of you that
Yeah.
week just after the stellate ganglion block. You're around your brothers, and that was so much fun.
It was great. Actually, yeah, it really is. I still talk about it today to my wife. I'm like, oh yeah, that reminds me. At Sparta we did. Yeah. So yeah.
So then, you've done other things, since then, to
Yeah.
really kind of work with the effects that you felt from the stellate ganglion block. Can you talk about some of those other things you've done?
So I kind of when I got home, I tried to keep up with everything and try and keep it all good. And then after a while, I noticed like, well, I'm gonna have to put in work. Like I can't just go back to how I'm gonna live my life how I did before. It turns out that like for me, I still feel the effects of the SGB shot because it's allowing me still sometimes to carry on conversations with my wife, which is something she kind of hated before. I would bring something up and I would kind of just, yeah, give her my point and walk away and not really engage in the conversation. And nowadays I'm actually engaging in a conversation with her. I'm stopping, I'm talking with her, I'm giving her my point, like she's giving me her points, and then we kind of, but I'm engaging more with her in things she wants to talk about. I'm engaging more with the kids, which I think she like, which is good.
So you're connected to them in a different way.
Yeah, and then I also take steps to try and breathe more, which is weird. Like I never really did that. So the kids she kind of makes me take a few breaths, like if I have to, I'll kind of separate myself and try and do a quick meditation session in a way. Mm-hmm. So, and it does help. And I think that's where she's noticed the meditation thing helps a lot.
We really believe that, it's stellate ganglion block plus talk therapy, psychological insights, through a trusted doc. And then the yoga and wellness practices as a holistic approach to treatment is really the thing that gets people long-lasting positive outcomes.
Oh yeah. I'm also noticing that my anger is getting better. So I recently had a tailgate stolen off my truck on the road. And I got really on the road. Yeah. We got really angry. We kind of caught them on the camera. So we got the car or whatever, but whatever. So I got for a while there, I was really angry. And like this was one of the times my wife was kind of like, hey, maybe you need to think about getting the shot again. And I mean, because it took me a few days to like get over that. But, I mean, I wasn't like just in a rage though, like I used to be. I was angry about it, and it was just kind of showing through some things. Like, so I was told her, I was like, no. So I kind of meditated on it on like the second day, and it made it better because then I realized, well, I'm still gonna have to pay a deductible on my tailgate, but I'm gonna get another one through insurance. So yeah. I got over it, and now I'm just kind of keeping an eye out for that same car. That's all I can do.
Yeah. Well, that would make me angry too.
Yeah.
And so that's normal. And your ability to kind of not get stuck there for weeks is a shift. Yeah. I know that's a shift in you. But to your point, life happens. And for some of our patients, especially after this year, there have been a few people that have said, hey, I'd like to get another shot. I mean, this gave me a wonderful year, a much better year than I would have had in the context of COVID. But all the stress of this year has ratcheted up those anxiety symptoms again, or trauma symptoms again.
Oh, it definitely is. Like this whole thing over this last year, it has been really stressful. And I've just been trying to, so it got really stressful. So I got kicked off of social media too. So that was a whole other one. So that got me stressed, because I have no longer had that connection with the guys, like, because most of them are on Facebook. I don't have that connection with them anymore, which is tough. But it's all right. Like I'm getting over it, and I learned that actually without social media, I have a lot more time for other stuff in my life.
Like to really connect in real time with your kids.
Yeah, like, and I miss that. The real connection versus so.
Yeah.
But, no, like I might actually. I would say that the SGB shot itself, it's not a cure in a way, and I think a lot of us were scared that thought it might be. And I luckily had Para give me a little guidance. He goes, hey, listen, I got my first one, and I went back to the same way I was, and that's just what you need in a brother. You need somebody who's going to tell you, hey, I've been through this. This is what I did wrong.
Yeah.
And I noticed that he was being sincere about it, and like, hey, this is what you got to listen to. Like, don't go back to that same. And I was like, well, basically what he's saying is do kind of the opposite of what you would do when you get home. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so normally you just go in and say, hey, babe, I'm home, whatever. Well, no, go in there, ask her how she's doing, see what's going on, ask her if she needs help. You know what I mean? Like something different, like throw something different in there. But then through those small changes, it slowly morphs, and now it just happens without me thinking about it a little bit. Yeah.
You got to practice new patterns of behavior. So the SGB gives you that like relaxation and like that opportunity to change your patterns, but you're 100% right. And Para and I are going to do a video about that.
That's one of the best advice I got coming out of the SGB shot into Sparta. When Para told us that, I was like, I took that to heart instantly. Yeah. And I was like, this is a guy that knows, he said, this is what I did wrong the first time. Yeah. So.
Yep. He has so much credibility with all of you guys as your kind of natural leader, and
Uh-huh.
um
Yep.
and you do, I know you to be somebody who does listen and take it to heart when you know that somebody has your good in mind.
Definitely.
He's
Yeah.
definitely that person for you as well. So
He still texts me randomly and says, "Hey, I love you, man." That's all he says. That's all it is. Like, miss you, man. I love you. You know, like, yeah. I was like, man, that's great. It's
yeah,
good having something like that.
he really does. He really does. Like, you're always connected.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
when you don't feel like it, just send a text to any one of us and you'll
Oh
get
yeah.
a response.
Definitely.
Anything else you want to add before we finish for today?
Not really. Just I really want to say thank you for the opportunity to get me the SGB shot and go to Sparta, because it really has been a real life changer. Like, yeah,
Awesome.
honestly.
You're so welcome. And, if you do find that your anxiety is at a level where you want to get a repeat, remember that Stella does give a 20% discount for veterans.
Okay.
So make sure you mention that, when you call in, and we'll take care of you.
Sounds great. But, yeah.
All right. Hang on. I'm gonna see. How do I stop?